The Canadian Rockies were a merciless place in winter. Snow blanketed every inch of the landscape, muffling even the howling wind. Thomas and Samuel, two young brothers, stumbled along a narrow trail that cut through the wilderness miles away from civilization. The storm pressed down on them, sharp ice crystals biting their skin. "We'll freeze out here," Samuel gasped, his breath a thick cloud in the frigid air. "Keep walking," Thomas urged, though he was unsure how much farther they could go. Through the swirling snow, a dim orange glow flickered ahead. A cabin? No, something larger. They forced their frozen legs to move faster until they reached a rundown roadside lodge. The sign, barely legible under layers of ice, read, "The Timberman's Inn." Inside, the warmth hit them like a tidal wave. A group of rugged men sat around, a long table cluttered with cards and half-empty bottles. Their laughter echoed off the wooden walls, harsh and loud. Thomas and Samuel approached the bar. "2 coffees, please," Thomas said, placing their last few dollars on the counter. The bartender, an older woman with a face like cracked leather, nodded silently and shuffled to prepare their drinks. The brothers tried to blend into the shadows near the fire, but the rowdy group at the table took notice. There were 3 of them, thick-set men with wild eyes and matching plaid jackets, stained from years of work in the lumber camps. One of them, a burly man with salt and pepper hair and a jagged scar running down his cheek, stood up and swaggered toward the brothers. "Well, look what we got here," he drawled, his voice dripping with mockery. "Couple of city boys lost in the woods. We're just warming up," Thomas said carefully, avoiding eye contact. Another man from the group, younger but just as rough, grinned maliciously. "Ain't polite to come in without saying hello to the locals. We didn't mean any trouble," Samuel said nervously. Scarface's grin twisted into something darker. "You calling me a liar, boy?" "No," Thomas said quickly, raising his hands. His arm brushed against Scarface's shoulder in the process. The room fell, silent. Scarface's grin vanished, replaced by a cold fury. "You hit me," he growled. "Nobody hits me." Before either brother could react, Scarface grabbed Thomas by the front of his jacket and, with terrifying strength, hurled him into the roaring fireplace. Flames exploded around Thomas, engulfing him in an instant. His screams tore through the lodge as fire licked at his skin. Samuel shouted in horror, rushing to pull his brother from the inferno. The other 2 lumbermen laughed cruelly, clapping each other on the back. "Good throw, Jack," one of them hollered. Thomas stumbled out of the flames, his body charred and smoking. Samuel frantically beat at the fire with his hands, tears streaming down his face. Scarface loomed over them, his eyes gleaming with sadistic pleasure. "Guess it's your turn now, little brother." Samuel's heart pounded wildly. He bolted for the door, shoving past the men and bursting out into the blizzard. The snowstorm swallowed him whole. Wind howled in his ears, drowning out everything but his own ragged breathing. He ran blindly through the freezing darkness until exhaustion claimed him. Samuel's frozen body wasn't found until the spring thaw. Years passed, but the legend of the Timberman's Inn lived on. Locals whispered about the ghostly figures that haunted the old trail, figures born from fire and vengeance. One bitter winter night, Jack Scarface and his 2 companions trudged down that same snow-covered path. bottles of whiskey clutched in their gloved hands. The lodge had long since burned down, but they still enjoyed drinking in the wilds where no one could bother them. The wind died suddenly, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. Jack paused, his breath fogging in the frigid air. "You hear that?" he asked. "Hear what?" One of the men grunted. Jack frowned. In the stillness he heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, and heavy. They mirrored their own steps, stopping. When they stopped, "Must be the whiskey messing with your head," the younger man scoffed, but Jack wasn't so sure. His pulse quickened as he turned around. Suddenly, from the swirling snow, a massive creature emerged. A spectral white wolf with eyes like twin shards of icy blue fire. Its fur shimmered with frost, and its breath steamed in the frigid air. The wolf's gaze fixed on Jack, who stumbled backward. "What the hell is that?" he gasped. "That thing isn't real," one of them whispered, though his voice trembled. The white wolf growled low and deep, a sound that vibrated through their chests. Before Jack could react, a flickering light appeared. Behind the beast, a figure wreathed in flames, its charred skin crackling with every movement. The burning spectre raised a blackened hand, pointing directly at Jack. "No!" Jack gasped, stumbling backward. "It isn't possible!" The fiery figure spoke, its voice like the hiss of burning wood. "You should have died and not us!" White Wolf lunged, sinking its teeth into the leg of the youngest man. He screamed in agony as blood sprayed across the snow, and then attacked neck of another man who stood motionless in fear. Jack turned to flee, but the burning boy moved impossibly fast, blocking his path. The ghostly flames surged higher, wrapping around Jack like a living thing. His screams echoed into the night as the fire consumed him from the inside out. By morning, the trail was empty. Only 3 sets of footprints remained, 2 leading into the wilderness, and 1 that simply ended. Travellers still speak of the white wolf with blazing blue eyes and the flaming spectre of a boy who haunts that icy road, seeking justice for a crime long past. And for those foolish enough to linger too long, the timberman's curse waits to claim its next victim. If you enjoyed this story of revenge, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more exciting and inspiring stories to you. Also, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Until next time, keep believing in the power of wisdom and friendship. See you in the next story.